Instructions to compose business-to-business advertisement. Business-to-business firms are those organizations that sell items and administrations among themselves. The selling is done to a customer of other organization, who may utilize the item for transitional purposes or thereabouts. The commercials identifying with B2B organizations ought produce interest as well as be just out remaining in spite of the intense rivalry. On the lookout, there are a few firms who produce a similar stuff and they connect for customers with whom they need to work together. So finding the correct customer is certainly not a serious deal, yet really getting hold of them is. In composed substance, utilize the name of the organization in the primary sentence, ideally first word. It isn't satisfying to begin with, we. Following it, give a short presentation about the organization. In today's occupied world, individuals don't have the opportunity to squander, so convey the message immediately. Utilizing snappy modifiers will work. The sentence should be outlined with the goal that the customer thinks about the organization, what it does and how it is exceptional from others. Offer conversation starters prior to making the composing material, similar to what is that the client will expect and do they request high caliber. Try not to spare a moment to utilize you frequently. The peruser will feel that he is straightforwardly being referred to and it will be simpler for him to identify with. Play with client's brain research. Comprehend the challenges looked by them and afterward show them how the organization or the organization's item can understand it. Call of activity can be given at that point and offer to clear their questions. It should be something other than a helpline. The activity should be truly quick. Basically, don't neglect the customer. After the underlying composition, expound in detail on the item or administration gave. This is in department data for those worried about your organization's item. Point out the benefits of utilizing them. Think of them in a various leveled structure with numbering or projectiles. In the case of composing short sections, solid captions can be utilized as heading of individual passages. Once more, utilizing descriptive words will be acceptable. A decent measure of amusement factor should be added. This will hold the interest of the client and won't occupy him. In any case, if heaps of it is utilized, it will essentially get pitiful. It's a pleasant plan to utilize item thing as an action word alongside different descriptors. Submit site and promotions to web indexes. A great many individuals use it ordinarily to discover what they need. In the event that the site is web index improved, it will definitely get heaps of traffic. The name of the organization and catchphrases ought to thickly populate the site content. Make it an impulse for the guest to experience the promotion prior to proceeding onward to the enlistment or installment measure. Some B2B sites don't permit adding an email address or URL in the promotion. They can be followed in by really illuminating spot or it in the email address or site interface. When the client is attracted, they should be kept up. Item should be conveyed on schedule. Quality should be kept up. Whenever it is done, not exclusively will they begin confiding in the organization, yet additionally simultaneously they will get the message out about the organization. They will publicize for nothing. Their involvement in the organization will persuade others to join the fleeting trend. How to compose great publicizing content. To compose fruitful commercial substance is to grab the eye of the client from the start site as they glint, however the pamphlets and flyers like they flip through a magazine, and not how they will peruse books with fixation. It need not be fundamental that the client peruses every single line of the ad. Henceforth, each line should be viable and should pass out a message. So it's important to compose legitimate issue, however it should likewise be innovative enough. Initially, just applicable and explicit issue should be written in the promotion. Some substance scholars dread passing up a major opportunity data and compose as much as possible. This will just lack of engagement the clients more and space will be squandered. The composing style should be identified with the sort of flyer or handout that will be composed. It's standard for the peruser to peruse skipping lines in the middle of, and there is a likelihood that they will peruse it from base to top. It generally assists with utilizing words that sell. Yet at the same time, the substance should be appropriately coordinated with the heading at the top, body in the center and end toward the end. The central matters can be composed as subheadings, in striking text style. The body following the subheading ought to talk about the subheading, and in the event that it is identified with some other subheading, even those focuses should be examined. In the event that the item is to be examined from the specialized point, it ought not be specialized to such an extent that it seems like an unknown dialect to an everyday person. Tossing is another procedure that can be utilized. Hurling is composing little stories with end toward the end. They can either have or not have association between themselves. It's better on the off chance that they aren't associated, in light of the fact that it won't need the peruser to return to a past piece to comprehend the current lump he is perusing. This functions admirably when there are pictures in the commercial and the piece represents the image. The two-dimensional picture is puzzled except if some very much picked words discusses it and propels the clients. Clearly, while hurling, subheadings can be utilized to let out basic data. Another highlight be considered is the item or organization about which the substance depends on. Assume if the handout is identified with a corporate, the way of composing should be formal. Spelling slip-ups should be maintained a strategic distance from to the greatest degree. They reflect low quality and carry terrible standing to the customer. The plan ought to talk unmistakably and uproariously about the association being examined. Indistinct, jumbled and counterintuitive data makes a deception that the organization additionally has similar qualities. Indexes are the main wellspring of ad for certain organizations, due to low ventures. Such sort of business lists won't need a lot of composing, just item depiction will do. Rather, one can deal with the text dimensions, colors, and so on. The subsequent stage should compose data about contacts in order to purchase the item. Itemized structures are huge mood killer. Contact data, postal location and site URL should be obviously determined. Likewise, incorporate whether the business acknowledges money, check or charge card. Something else to be dealt with is the contact data, which is normally composed on the structures, which must be sent. It is smarter to keep in touch with them on the promotion additionally so the clients can spare it for future reference. After the last substance is composed, it's the ideal opportunity for getting sorted out it. Contingent upon the interest of the items, organize them in progression, particularly when planning an inventory in light of the fact that every one of the items ought to get the thought and consideration they merit. It is a decent propensity to record strategies, which have been applied to each sort of notices composed. And furthermore spare the data like what clients were focused with what sort of promotions, to use to a similar sort of rationale whenever to comparative clients. This assists with making an outline for a future work.